Hello guys, I'm back, and today I'm going to show you how to create your own terrain using WorldEdit and VoxelSniper. Lots of people have been requesting I do something like this, so here you go. The first thing that you're going to need is obviously a world, and to do that you're going to need a bucket server, and when you're installing the server itself, you don't actually need to do the port forwarding. I'm not going to show you how to create the server, but there's plenty of tutorials. But if you don't want to be able to let people join, then you don't need to do the port forwarding, which is usually the hardest part of creating the server. But once you've created it, you just need to install the two plugins, WorldEdit and VoxelSniper, and I will leave links to those in the description. You're also going to need to do what I do. I use some craftscripts created by inHaze, and I'll put links to those too. They're very useful. And if you don't know what a craftscript is, it's kind of like a filter for MCEdit, but for WorldEdit. So they're pretty useful, and I'll put links to those in the description. Okay, to start out, what I usually do is I just create a very big block of stone. So that's what I'm going to do. And for WorldEdit, you have this wooden axe. Once you get that, you can pretty much select like that using right click and left click. And as you see in the chat, I've selected 10 blocks here. And if you use 2 slashes, then the word set, then you can put the item or the block ID that you want it to become. So this just became stone. I could set it to anything I want. So what I'm going to do is go very far away. Also, this compass is part of WorldEdit. It just, when you click it, goes wherever you point. So now that I've selected that, if you see, that will create this stone. But if you want it to be a bigger block, you have to point in the direction that you want the selection to get bigger. So we want it to go upwards. So I'm going to do / expand 30, and that will make it, the selection is 30 blocks taller. And you can't see the selection, it's like invisible unless you use a certain mod, but it doesn't really matter. So the selection is basically a big cube now. It's 30 blocks in the air. So now we can set it to stone. This might lag if you don't have a very good server, but I have a pretty good one. So once you do that, now you have a big block of stone, as you see. So the next part, we're going to create some mountains, I guess. So to create these mountains, I'm going to use a craft script by inHaze called laser. It's very useful, so we just do /cs laser. That will bring up the syntax. So we want the size to be 20, that's diameter. The depth will be 0. Material is 1. So now you can see, I'll just show you over here. What that will do is create something like this. So what I usually do, as you see, you can undo things with WorldEdit. I usually just go around like this. You can kind of see it in the time lapses of the map making series, but I usually go around like this and just make these mountains. Okay, so these are what I just created. As you see, there's like a little thing that I messed up on here, and so we're going to fix that by creating a sphere brush. So to create a brush, you need to have, well, also this also applies to the craftscripts. You need to be holding an item that you can't place. So you can't be holding like a block of dirt or something. It has to be something like this. So I like to use the blaze rod, gold nugget, and nether wart. So what you can do to create a brush is do //br, then you put in what you want it to be. There's sphere, cylinder, there might be some other things, but those are the two I mainly use. So then you put, as you see, these are all the things you can make hollow spheres or solid spheres. So what I'm going to do is create a solid sphere of stone. Solid sphere of stone. The radius will be 5. So now what we have is this. It's just you place spheres of stone. And we're just going to put one there. And that's all sealed up now. Okay, so now since this is looking kind of flat, I'm going to make this area a little deeper, and we'll maybe put like a pond in there. So we're going to do //br or br s04. So this, since it's a brush of air, it will do this. And create where you want the land to be lower. It's pretty easy to do. Just paint. It's kind of like painting. You just click where you want there to be air, and we're gonna make it go a little deeper in the center. And I know it looks really bad right now, but I'll show you how to smooth it out after. So now that we have the basic layout of the land, we're going to smooth it out. Okay, to smooth it out, we're going to use VoxelSniper. And this is a plugin created to, it's kind of like, it lets you smooth terrain, it lets you do a lot of things, but I really only use 2 features of this, and that is the blender ball and overlay. Those are the 2 I mainly use. Sometimes I use fill and melt, but I think blender ball and overlay are the 2 most useful. So to blend this all together, we're going to use blender ball. So we have to do /b space bb for blender ball. And now it's set to blender ball. As you see, it kind of smooths things out. But since we want it to be bigger, we have to do /b8. So now it's a radius of 8, and we can just smooth this out. Also, something useful when you have blender ball selected, you can use the gunpowder to kind of like pull the land out like that. So if you want something to be a little bigger like this, before this was all flat, now it's got a lot of depth and everything. Okay, now that we've got some basic shape to this terrain, we're going to add the grass and everything. So to do that, we're going to use the overlay function on VoxelSniper. So what you need to do is type b space over, and then you put the depth, which is usually 3. And to set what block you want it to be, you do /b and then the ID. So we're going to use grass. So as you see now, it's putting grass 3 blocks into the stone wherever you put it. Okay, we got some grass everywhere now, and since we want a pond here, I didn't put grass all the way down, and even if I did, like this, I'll show you how you can make this area a pond. So what we're going to do first is do //brs12, which is sand, and we're going to do 5. Whoops. I did //bs//br, and this will create sand like that. But we don't want it to just put balls of sand, we want it to replace this stone and the grass and the dirt with sand. So what we're going to do that is hold whatever brush we assign that to and do //mask, or actually I think it's just //mask, and then the blocks that you want it to replace. So we're going to do 1, which is stone, 2, which is grass, and 3, which is dirt. So now we should see that it replaces all those blocks. So we're just going to put sand all over into here, and that's pretty good. Of course you might want to put more detail into this, but I'm just doing it pretty quickly. So now we have a huge sand area, and we're going to need to fill this with water. So what we can do to do that is grab a water bucket, find the level that we want the water, so let's do right here, put a bunch of water, then we enter the command /fixWater, which is a part of WorldEdit, then the radius we want it to spread the water on. So we'll do 50, and now you see it's put water in here. So that's how you can create a basic lake. Now I'm going to show you how to do the trees and everything. So these are the trees that I have been using. They look like this. These are what I've been using in my adventure map. There's 2 styles, there's the branched and the large, and these are both part of inHaze's build commands, craftscript. So I'll show you the syntax to those. Here we have, this is the large tree, so you enter this, here I'll just copy it, then we paste it, and now we get these trees. Do those. Also we will get these. These are the branched, which are really cool looking. They come out like that. Also I'm going to get something else. In here we have the grass command, which will, when you use it, it will make grass kind of like that. So we're gonna go take all these 3 brushes that we just made and use them to create the foliage and everything for that area. Okay, so now I'm gonna put some trees. Here we'll put some branched trees. Also what I like to do is do //gmask0. That will make it so anything you do in WorldEdit will only replace air. So these wood blocks are not going into the ground or anything because they only replace air. So we'll put some trees. This is how I usually like to make the areas. Just put a whole bunch of trees, branched trees on the mountains. Now it's pretty cool from down here. And I like to put the large trees down inside the valley or wherever it is. So we have this. And now what we're going to do, you might notice this looks kind of weird from here. And what we can do to make it seem like we're actually in the middle of a forest is do something like this, //cyl, that will create a cylinder of grass with a radius of 5. So now we have this little grass cylinder, and what we can do is put a tree on top of that, and when you come in here, you can't see that little cylinder of grass, but you see the trees in the background, and it makes it feel more like you're in a forest. Okay, so I just went around and put a bunch of those little platform tree things. As you can see, it looks a whole lot better. It looks like we're actually in a forest instead of in a little bowl made of dirt. So now what we're going to do is, since we grabbed that grass brush, we can just put a whole bunch of grass and flowers and everything all over the place. And if we want, since we got that, we can change this to put after the S, put 50, and now it will create grass in a much larger radius. So now we have grass all over the place, and it's starting to look like an actual part of a forest. So now what I'm going to do is just make a little gravel path that goes along the edge of this grass. And I didn't really plan to do this, but I'll just show you how you can make little paths like that. So what we're going to do is do //br sphere, and we're going to put gravel, and we're going to put comma 2, and then another comma 2, and that will make this sphere, it'll make it 2 parts grass and 1 part gravel. Oops, I forgot to enter that. Okay, so we'll do this, and we'll put a size of 3. So now what we have is this little ball of gravel and dirt, so we're going to get rid of that, and we're going to make it only replace the grass. So what I like to do is do /mask 13 and 2, so this will replace gravel and grass, and for some reason it's not working. Okay, so you have to change, make sure you don't have the global mask on, because that will mess up the brushes. So now we can just kind of go through here, make a little gravel path. If you want the gravel to be denser, we can make it just 1/2 gravel and 1/2 grass. So now it's a little denser, there's more gravel per block, I guess. So now we have a little gravel path. It's not a very good one because it's kind of on a hillside, but hopefully you get the idea. So that is pretty much how you can create terrain, and of course you can change it to anything. This is just like the style that I like to use for my adventure map, and of course if you're building your own you might want to do something different, and usually you'll use the same style for the whole map. So that's pretty much everything. If you have any questions, you can of course ask them, and that's pretty much everything. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.